the first homework problem, which I guess is a quiz, if you look at the module, lines and squares pattern, requires us to do the polygon command, some offsetting, and some trimming. And what I want to do is, first of all, I want to draw a circle. The problem doesn't require a circle, but I want to talk a little bit about when we use the polygon command. It asks us if we want to draw a polygon inscribed or circumscribed about a circle. So if I go to the polygon command, the circle command, and the center point for this circle is 0, 6 as specified in the quiz, and I want to draw one with a radius of 1.5. So the diameter of that circle is going to be 3 inches. If you go to the polygon command, it asks us for how many sides. We'll type 4. 4 happens to be my default, so I can hit enter here. It asks for the center of the polygon, and I can use my center OSNAP of the circle, or I can type in 0, 6 again, your choice. Now it asks you want to inscribe it in circle or circumscribed about a circle. If we pick circumscribed about circle, and if I use the quadrant OSNAP, and pick my circle, I now have a polygon there circumscribed about. And if we use the distance command or the measure command, we can see that that's 3 inches, and that's what we need for this example. Let's put a polygon in. This time let's inscribe it about just to see what we get. So if we have that polygon, we want to do 4 sides again, and the center is going to be the center of that circle. We select inscribed, and now if I pick the quadrant or the midpoint of that line, both would be the same. You can see the difference there. In this case, from corner to corner, let's use the measure tool. If we go corner to corner of that inside square, it's 3. So that's not one we want, so let's go ahead and erase that one, and we can go ahead and erase that circle as well because we don't need that anymore. So this circle, or this polygon, was fairly easy to put in. It gave us information about the width of that square. This next square, the large square on the outside, they don't really tell us the size of it. But what we can do is use that polygon command to draw it. So what I'll do is go back up to the polygon command again. And I want to do a polygon with 4 sides again. I hit enter. And the center is going to be the same as the center of that square, and it was 0, 6. So I don't have my circle there, so I can't use any OSNAPs. So I need to type in 0, 6, the absolute coordinate. We want it circumscribed. And this time you can see with our ortho, if we can drag it wherever, and if I pick the corner of the square that's already there, it puts that larger polygon in the perfect location for us. So at this point here, what we want to do to get those inner lines of that polygon, we could go through and try to draw some lines manually, but the easiest way to do it is to use the offset command. And the offset command is up here on the ribbon. Those of you who want to type in the shortcut, type in O and hit enter. But I'll click on offset there. The offset command has a couple parts. The first part is asking for the distance between the objects. And in this case, we're told that we want to use 0.25, so let's type that in and hit enter. Now we're being asked to select an object. In this case, we want to select the polygon, the small square. We click it, and then we need to specify which side. In the case of a polygon, it's inside it or outside. So we want to pick the inside. We still are in the offset command, so we select that new line and keep picking it inside. And keep completing that until we're done there. So the first part of this exercise is finished. We have those inner lines done. The second part of this command, I'm just going to use the line command to start off with. and pick the midpoint of that small square and go to the intersection of the tip of that larger square to get that vertical line. Again, I don't know what that distance is. I could do some math, but I'm kind of lazy. I don't really care what it is. I just know that it connects from that midpoint to that intersection. We know that there are some other lines there, and we know that the distance is 0.25 because the note says 0.25 TYP, and that TYP means typical. So we can assume that the distance, the spacing, is 0.25. So I'll go back up to the offset command, and if you look down the command prompt, it'll still say have the default value of 0.25 as our offset distance. So I hit enter to accept, and I'm going to select this line. This time I'm going to go to the right side, go to the right, keep picking the line, pick the direction, pick the line, pick the direction. Now I'll go back the other way. I'll pick that first line we drew, pick off some place into the left. I'm way out here. It doesn't matter where it is. It just has to be on the left side. I think I got one more to do. There we go. So we're getting closer. The next step is to trim those outer lines that we don't need. And we talked about the trim command, I believe, in chapter 2. So we go to the ribbon here to select trim. And the trim command has two parts. First, you want to select your cutting edge or edges, and then you want to select the parts of the objects, lines, arcs, circles, or whatever it may be to get rid of. In this case here, our cutting edge is just going to be that polygon, and it's, if you put your cursor over that, even though it looks like it's 4 lines, it's considered one object since it was a polygon. So I'm going to click that one object and hit enter. Now it's asking me to get rid of the pieces I don't want. So I can select these lines one at a time if I want to, or I can use that crossing window trick that we talked a little bit about. Sometimes it's a little tricky. These last 2 lines, I'm going to zoom in a little bit and get rid of those. And then once I'm done, I hit enter. So I've trimmed those off. So I could do the same thing basically on each of those other corners there, those 3 other parts. I'm going to show you one other trick. I think we did this last time. We did the mirror command. If I go to the mirror command, again, this exercise, this object happens to be symmetrical. And it's asking us to select the items we want to mirror. And what I'd like to do is select all those lines that we just drew. And I can select them one at a time, but there's a trick we can, if I click in the upper left and drag it down, this is a window. And when I do this, it's only going to select the objects that are completely inside. Now it looks like the lines of that small square might be in there, but if you remember, those lines are a polygon, so it's considered one object. So since all of the polygon is not inside my window, it's not getting selected, just those lines, vertical lines we just drew. So I click there, I can see that they're all highlighted. The command asks me if I want to select any more. I'm going to say no, or hit enter to get to the next part of the command. It's asking me for a mirror line. Basically what we need is a horizontal line that bisects this square, and we've got a nice piece of geometry right here, this endpoint. If I click on that, I could go ahead and click this endpoint right there, or if I have my ortho on, I can just turn ortho on, and it guarantees me I've got a straight line whether I go left or right, it doesn't matter. So with ortho on, I'm just going to drag off to the right and left click, and there they are. And I don't know if you noticed that, but I made a mistake there. It was asking if I want to keep my mirror. I canceled out a little bit too early, so let's do it again. Go to the mirror command, put a window around that. I pick, doesn't matter which corner I pick, on the right or left, and I drag it to the right. I left click. Now at this point here, I got a little ahead of myself here. It's asking me, it says, do you want to erase the source objects? I'm going to say no. And there we go. So what you could do now is, I won't finish this off, but you could do draw these lines on the left side here and then mirror about the right if you want to. Or if you enjoy doing this, you could draw manually on all 4 of those corners there. So that's basically the lines and squares pattern. Again, we use the polygon command, some offsetting, and then the trim command. And then we use the mirror command with a crossing window. It wasn't a crossing window, it was a window selection method to just select those lines and allow us to mirror them down.